Who's got a bad knee? Hopefully it's not Seth Rollins. WrestleMania, don't hear it. It's Royal Rumble. It's Royal Rumble. It's Royal Rumble. Yeah. What's up, everybody? That is Nick. I am Kevin. This is Rings and Rambles. Starting a little bit late, but still on it because we got some late breaking news. We have the latest Royal Rumble betting odds. We have the latest on Seth Rollins and what's going on with him. Obviously, we're coming to you before Raw. Maybe you're watching this on demand. However you're getting it, thank you for joining us. All right, we're going to talk a lot of Royal Rumble. So if some of what you're hearing is, I already know what's going on with Seth Rollins, there isn't a change to WrestleMania. We're going to talk about it. So make sure you get in the conversation, get on screen if you watch on demand or anything like that. I want to hear from you guys here. Let us know what you think. If you're on Wrestle Room on Facebook, wow, you actually get to see us on Facebook. That's and you haven't buried us, Mark Zuckerberg. But yeah, so let us know what you guys think. Sound off, get on screen. Love hearing from you. What's going on, Jose? What's going on? Wakas Bahati. I know we are an international affair. And for you guys who are listening on the podcast side of things, make sure you give us a 5-star review on whatever podcast app you're on. A lot of good stuff on the podcast channel, by the way. Vince Russo on there as well, bro. Bill Apter, a new interview dropping today with R-Truth, which was quite ridiculous. I can tell you Bill Apter was quite ridiculous to someone who's wildly ridiculous in WWE and R-Truth. But the man everyone's talking about is Seth Rollins. Let's get into this story. This one's really, really unfortunate here. Story, which seems like it's very testy about what we're going to have with him at WrestleMania. If there is going to be a WrestleMania for him, he's missed them before due to a knee injury, and there's a chance that could happen again. We'll find out more because obviously last week on Monday Night Raw, Seth Rollins defended the title in the much talked about match where we knew the ending with Jinder Mahal, does a lion salt and appear to injure his knee. News comes out about that around Friday, confirmed through multiple sources, including Fightful Select and others, that Seth Rollins had injured his knee, had a torn MCL, a partially torn meniscus, and the injury time could see him on the shelf possibly until right about WrestleMania. So that would put him in a weird position. And the problem is it completely goes in the way of where you're positioning him as a character of the fighting champion, who maybe cannot fight to defend the title, and the much talked about match with him and one CM Punk. Are we getting a WrestleMania change? We'll find out obviously in a few hours tonight on Monday Night Raw. But what do you think, Nick? I'm Kevin. That's Nick. More importantly, the topic at hand. Blah blah.
I think that WWE, they like to boast about their health care. How quickly their trainers, everything, how quickly they're able to get their athletes back into competition. And I do see Seth Rollins maybe being able to get back by WrestleMania, especially if it's right around the timetable. Like I said, WWE takes pride in how quickly they can get guys back sometimes. So I think it can happen, but what I want to see happen, honestly, I'm gonna give a hot take right off the bat here. I don't know if you remember 1992, but there was a vacant belt that was won by Ric Flair in the Royal Rumble. And I would like to see if Rollins is not going to be a fighting champion, if tonight he decides that he's going to vacate the belt. I hope that they go in the direction that they did in 1992 and have the winner of the Royal Rumble be the new world heavyweight champion. I think it would be cool.
It's interesting how this will play out, because we already thought WrestleMania was going to have a lot of intriguing scenarios, a lot of intriguing paths to the title. I don't want to hear from everybody. This is a wild scenario here, because we're all thinking about what's going to happen with Reigns and the undisputed Universal Championship, and The Rock obviously is involved in some way or another, and Cody Rhodes saying he wants to finish the story. More on Cody in a little bit, because there's definitely some inclinations of Cody having something big for sure at WrestleMania. But the plan on the other side is a lock, it appears. We have multiple outlets, verified ones, saying that the plan is still Rollins and Punk. Nice. That is still the plan. And even though they have this injury snafu, which happens, this is a part of wrestling, right? You have guys out there taking the risk all the time. It would be a real shame if, Seth Rollins has to drop this title. But if they can get to Punk and Rollins, is it something where they need the title? I think that's a question worth asking. Some people saying it with Roman and The Rock didn't need the title, but the title reign has been so big with Reigns that you have to make it feel like a big deal. Want to hear from people. Indian Tribal Chief FC says, let Rollins vacate the title. Put it in a Royal Rumble, so he agrees with you. Royal Rumble winner wins the title. Let Drew win the title at Royal Rumble.
Ooh.
Drew is a real dark horse for this year's Royal Rumble. Won before, but everyone's kind of like saying, oh, he's a big player, but they're writing him off in big matches. But they've been putting him in a lot of TV roles for the past few months.
Yeah, they have.
Great match with Seth Rollins where he did that little mistake at the end that cost him the match. And it was that was one of the best TV matches I've seen in a long, long time. People sleep on Drew. So there's something there. Indian Tribal Chief FC, you have something here. Jesse Hyde jumping in here saying, Dave Meltzer, Big Papa Dave Meltzer, and tip of the cap, Sean Rassap, saying maybe they do the Jay White F-bomb meme if Sasha Banks comes back to the WWE, wins the 2024 Royal Rumble. Oh, we'll get into Royal Rumble surprises and stuff. Like that, things like that. We'll do that within the show, so we'll see what happens there. Robert Franking saying, is Seth going to be able to wrestle? And if not, will he have a hand over the title? Well, that's something, obviously we're a few hours away from seeing this. This is something that WrestleVotes followed up with. We're going to have Seth kind of make an announcement of what's going to happen with the world title here. And I think we have more of an idea what's going to happen. Is it going to be the world title is up for grabs this Saturday at the Royal Rumble? And it's another thing worth running. This is a new world title where they tried to tie it into legacy and say names and here's these jewels represent this specific person, and I've heard that, right? And I admire what they tried to do, but they made this world title because they had booked themselves into a scenario where they only had one world champion in Roman Reigns, and that isn't enough when you're going into a TV year. You need a world champion on both shows. Yeah, a top level champion, right? So Seth went out there and busted his ass and really tried to make this thing meaningful. And now he's hurt. And he literally is being the franchise guy. Like he's literally doing it with his body in every possible way, taking on the guy who tried to tear down the house, who's now back on home, right? The story writes itself pretty organically. I want to know what Punk's going to say about this, because Punk's going to war with every big name in the company, it feels like. So it's very interesting. Is he going to hand over the title? I doubt he hands over the title. But another looming scenario, you mentioned putting the title just, in the world. He vacates the title. They put it up for grabs in the Royal Rumble match. Yeah. Problem with that is, what about the Money in the Bank briefcase? Damian Priest has that. He can cash it in and get the title from an extremely weakened, prone Seth Rollins and get the title. And he has it. And I'm sorry, Judgment Day fans, even though they're over and they're the goon squad that's all over Monday Night Raw every single week, I don't think he keeps that title. If he gets it, he is transitional as a champion for sure. And everyone says, oh, that's the worst for a title reign. No. They've had a lot of people have belts for a long time now in WWE, so that could serve something here. Hunter saying, Sportskeeda Wrestling, I have a what-if question. We'll get into this. Some people jumping ahead on us. You guys are always forcing us to jump ahead to the next topic, but I don't mind. The hottest free agent in pro wrestling right now that people are talking about is Kazuchika Okada. Say it too fast. From New Japan Pro Wrestling, the Rainmaker. Of course, they announced he is out of the company, which is shocking. He's been with them since 2007. 7-time world champion, their WrestleMania main eventer for a long, long time at Wrestle Kingdom. And there's much debate about him going to AEW or WWE. Right. And a lot of people think maybe he leans on the AEW side because it's a lighter schedule. But this guy's 36, had some injuries, some neck issues, some knees, but reportedly he's a guy who wants to wrestle on WrestleMania, and you can only do that in one place. Right. But I could also see a lot of connections between him doing something in AEW where he would be able to get the time off. He would have a much lighter schedule, no house shows, not the same type of monthly commitments and things like that you would have with WWE. Right. And they could get around that. So here we go. He goes, Sportskeeda writing, what if Okada signs with WWE? Who will have him face and put a rocket on his back to the championship? I don't think Okada, if they bring him over to WWE, is going to be in the championship picture right away, right?
I don't see it either, but I do see a lot of potential great matchups with him to be able to happen. But just there's so many heavy hitters in WWE right now.
It's very top heavy,
yeah. I don't think he gets lost in the mix, but I just think if he were to come over right away, he's not in that title contention right
No,
off the bat.
they would have to spend a lot of time just reintroducing to this audience that's only heard of him. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and they would be like, "Oh, I know he's cool. I know he's legit." And I'm not saying wrestling fans didn't know AJ Styles when he came into WWE, but when he came in, there was a little bit of that, like, "Hey," but then they went with it, and he was a world champion within a year. With Okada, I mean, you're gonna have a guy who doesn't speak English as his first language. That's a challenge.
Yeah,
mainly English-speaking audience, not a rip, just a circumstantial one. Who do you pair him with? Does he have a talking piece? Is he still the Rainmaker? There's all these different questions with him. The transition to AEW would be a lot more seamless since he's already been on TV for them.
Yeah.
He's already done pay-per-view matches for them. And the AEW audience is very much a hardcore audience. They know the big players, you know. Yeah. This would be like if you brought an XFL guy into the NFL and people are like, who's this guy? Why is he? You know, like that kind of like jump level, you know?
Yeah, no,
I think it's a comparison I can make. But I mean, Okada showing up in WWE, I think it's very possible. He's not made up his name. That's the last word that we heard today. He's not made up his name. He spoke to Tokyo Sports and kind of said, I did everything I wanted to do in New Japan. And I'm at a point in my life where I'm paraphrasing here. I basically have to make a choice, you know, to do something else. I don't want to rest on my laurels. I want to challenge myself. The fact that he says he wanted to challenge himself makes me think he would go to WWE. I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying speculation. I think Okada going to WWE, you know, like if you're going to be in WrestleMania, that's only get to do in one place. You know what I mean? Like it's basically that simple. You only get to do it in one place. Is it AEW? You help them get on the map, but you're going to have to commit to them for years. You're in that prime spot of your wrestling career where you have only a short window to have these big banger matches for the next 4, 5, 8 years, right?
Yeah.
Shorter than you think. I don't know. What would you do?
I mean, you know, he's not getting any younger. You kind of, you know, hit the nail on the head right there. A short window. If he wants to wrestle at WrestleMania, he's got to go to WWE.
He's in his prime.
Yeah, he's in his prime.
This isn't like they're getting a guy who's like in the twilight of his career.
Right.
This was the number one guy leaving New Japan.
Yeah.
That's never happened before. I know people say, oh, they got Nakamura. There was always the foreign wrestler who went to New Japan and then came back, you know, or a Kenny Omega. He went to New Japan, then went to All Elite Wrestling, right? And H Styles left TNA, went to New Japan, became an even bigger star, went to WWE. This is the New Japan guy going to WWE. And Nakamura was like a number 2 or 3 guy. It was a different scenario. And also, if you bring Okada over, you going to put him on NXT? I don't think so.
Ooh,
you know, like I don't think he would do that. With All Elite Wrestling, there's a lot of crowded plates there. But I think they've already proven, hey, we bring somebody over, you can push back down the ladder. But we're seeing it on WWE too. Rock comes in, like what's going to happen with other people there too. So
yeah.
Let's get back into the situation with Rollins. I know we're jumping all over the place, but whatever. You guys are dictating the conversation. Keep the questions coming. By the way, this is fun. Whatever, you know, we're rolling with it. It's Royal Rumble week. We'll get into your Royal Rumble picks in a little bit. Want to hear from you guys on that. Robert Frank, is Seth going to be able to wrestle? Or do you have to handle it? I think we already covered that one. Here, Kevin. This is the one I was looking for. Yeah. Kevin. Here we go. Why don't you read this one? I'm reading all the cool stuff.
Okay. Kevin says, I think they should have Punk win the title. Then they can still have Rollins versus Punk versus Rhodes at WrestleMania. Yeah, you know, I agree with you there, Kevin, too. And at Rumble, like we were saying, you know, Punk can win the title if they vacate it, and they can still have that Rollins and Punk matchup at WrestleMania if Punk is the winner of the Royal Rumble and the vacant belt. But because that could be, you know, Seth's redemption, is comeback tour there at WrestleMania can start. He says, I never officially lost the belt. I'm coming for it. So I'm
gonna thumb that one down.
Hey, I'm just
thumb that one down, Kev. I'm only doing this for the visual. There we go. I'm gonna screenshot that later, Kev. Look for it on my Twitter at Kev Kellum on the Twitter machine. No, the Rollins versus Punk is the big match. It's a personal issue, 1-on-1. I almost think if the title is out of the scenario just because of the injury, and then Seth can go at WrestleMania, you can do a title thing with them after WrestleMania and find a way to kind of do the rematch and give it a different consequence. Winning a match at WrestleMania is a consequence in and of itself. Winning a title at WrestleMania is a double one. Well, what if we take the stakes and move one over to Backlash, or we move one over to here, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And it's all circumstantial. A lot of organic moving parts here, but WWE's been able to sometimes move well with these and sometimes move not. And, this is a big WrestleMania. This is one of the bigger WrestleManias they've had in a couple of years because this is under the new ownership,
Yeah.
We're going to jump back over here. Here we go. Shell's Back Club. Cody beat Rollins 3 times in a row before Seth became champion. It makes no sense that Cody wouldn't get a title shot with him. Makes the title look super unimportant. Oh, well, Shellback, I mean, like Nick, you know this. Like, Cody just kind of said, like, I'm going for the title that Roman has. That's the most important thing. But it's odd that they have him over on Raw. That kind of just gives him natural distance from Roman, right? And he keeps saying it. He keeps saying, I'm going to finish the story, and the title that matters is the one that Roman wears. Like, to me, like, once they kind of put that out there, that just kind of cleared up the loophole,
Yeah.
And once Rollins dropped being heel and became like the Seth freaking oh thing got really, really over, I think they kind of corrected course on that. But I get what you're saying. It does. The title that Seth has currently, as we talk to you, doesn't feel as big as the one that Roman has. But I do think that Rollins has put in a lot of work to make it feel more important, even though it may not be as important. Is that fair? We're fickle. We're fickle fans, right?
That's fair. I mean, I think, to me, the reason why he doesn't go after Seth's title is exactly what you said. He's going for Roman's.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I see it. Otherwise, I think, I think Cody would go for the title. He wants a belt around his waist, but he wants Roman's.
Mm-hmm. Hit the like button, guys. If you guys are watching live, I love all the talk here. I will get to some more questions and more comments here. DJ Dark, Cody ain't finishing a goddamn thing.
Love it.
He says, can't wait for Roman and Rock at WrestleMania 40. Keep your calm up, guys. You guys run the show. You guys are in charge, so we'll let you guys continue to run the conversation here.
Yes.
So with Seth, a lot of changes here at hand, and there's a lot of possibilities of different things here. We touched on Okada as he going to WWE, AEW. Would love to hear from you guys in the comments about that. I know we touched on that a little bit already. But by the way, there's this thing on Saturday. It's the Royal Rumble. I had to do it. That's Vince McMahon. 90-91 when he would do intros, and he would just name 30 guys and the graphics would fly, like the really corny graph. Bret the Hitman Hart, Jim the Anvil.
I just watched a few of those the other day. I had to go down memory lane and watch some old throwback Royal Rumbles because this is my favorite premium live event. I'm not gonna lie, but exactly.
It's been my favorite pay-per-view for a long time. I love Mania. I just love Mania just because there's just this heightened level of consequence to it.
Yes.
And I enjoy War Games a little bit more after going to two of them live.
Hey.
But the Rumble is the Rumble is my favorite one to watch with friends, like at home, and like the pay-per-view party element. And I'm trying to figure out my pay-per-view party plans. I'm not going to be in Tampa. Our very own Emily May and Mona are going to be there, so that's pretty cool. Good for them. Look for them on the post-show press conference and all that good stuff. But the Rumble is the most fun. It has the most capability of gambling genuinely on wrestling, which is fun. You can do your pools and stuff like that. I know everyone does. I want to know how you guys are doing your Royal Rumble pool. Everyone has a different one for like maybe their friends. There's like 2 different text threads I have to respond to about all these different things. But get into the comments. Let me know what do you guys think? Who's winning the Royal Rumble? Who's winning the Royal Rumble? You win the Royal Rumble. Maybe you're getting the world title. We'll find out here. But if you're winning the Royal Rumble, I think there's a pretty good chance you're doing a big match at WrestleMania. So let's leave it at that. Okay, so as I adjust my camera here properly, who's winning the Royal Rumble? What are the betting odds currently? We checked on these last week. I know they've shifted a little bit.
Yeah, oh gosh, technical difficulties. Here we go. I have the new betting odds right here, and as of today, CM Punk is still the favorite. He's at plus 150, followed by Cody Rhodes at plus 275, then Gunther at plus 300, Randy Orton, LA Knight, and then The Rock. Those are the odds.
So LA Knight went above The Rock recently.
Yes, LA, and yeah, so he's about. Well, they're actually the same. They're at plus 700, but they have
Okay, so they're right. They're basically neck and neck.
Yeah, neck and neck there. But interesting that The Rock dropped down a little bit since.
We'll talk Royal Rumble surprises.
Yeah,
but I love this comment. Rumble has always been the most exciting. I used to love the surprises. WWE made a top 25 best surprises list, and they didn't even include anything from the 80s or 90s. That's because you fans are fickle, and they think if you're under the age of 25 that you won't care about anything before 2002 or something like that.
Yeah,
I know other people in the wrestling media business that tend to think that way. Huh? Yeah. I'm busting chops. I'm busting chops here. But no, and I know some people got really mad about that list because they're like, "Oh, Edge is only this, and that's a shot at AEW because he was this." I saw someone write that. I was like, "Really?
yeah.
You think that's a shot at Edge? If they didn't put him on the list at all, that would be a shot at Edge."
Right.
Come on. What are you talking about? They made a whole documentary just about that reveal, let alone anything. The surprises are hard. I'll say this about the Royal Rumble. Surprises are hard, but I think who wins this Royal Rumble is even harder. Do they do the twist and not have CM Punk win it? Everyone thinks it's just Punk's match to win. It's worth noting he has not wrestled a match on television for WWE since returning. He's only wrestled on live events, so they're trying to make the fact that he's back in a match. The match he's coming back to WWE in on television with the most eyeballs on it is also the last match you saw him in 10 years ago. There's an interesting story to that. I think they'll be able to hammer that down in some type of video or talking point tonight because we're going to get Punk versus Cody on Raw.
Yeah.
I'm watching Raw live, dude. You got me watching Raw live, not watching on the Hulu cut on Tuesday morning. I'm watching Raw live. So you got me on that. So I think it's Punk or Cody to win this thing. I think Drew is the real dark horse. I think having Drew win it would be wild, but we also, maybe the whole Royal Rumble winner thing has changed because we still have Elimination Chamber and stuff like that. This felt more predictable a week ago, but with this injury, it changes a lot of different things, you know?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And, Drew, he's right there behind The Rock with he's at plus 1,000, but he's right there in the odds as well. But, yeah, I think it's anybody's game, and especially, what they decide to do with the belt tonight. If they decide that the World Heavyweight Championship is going to be won at the Royal Rumble, the winner of the Royal Rumble is going to take that belt, then, that changes up a lot of things for me, because then I don't see Cody winning it. I could see CM Punk winning it. But I want to ask you a quick question, because this has been on my mind since you mentioned it earlier. You said that Damian Priest could possibly cash in on an injured Seth Rollins. Do you see him maybe doing that tonight while Seth's like giving his little, I don't know, coming out?
That'd be the really nasty way to do it, right?
Yeah. But
there's so many things with Judgment Day where they're like, you're supposed to boo him, but people aren't booing him enough.
Right. That's true.
And it does strike me as something that if he did do it, people would turn real hard, and they would remind you with all these shenanigans that are funny with R-Truth, and all the people that are just drooling with their mouths on the floor when Rhea Ripley walks out there. Grow up, by the way.
Right.
And people cheer when she comes out there, and they chant "Mommy, Mommy, Mommy," and they like the character. It's okay. Like what you like, cheer what you cheer. But to tell a certain story, you need people to play certain emotional bases on the field. Damian Priest needs to remind you that you are not supposed to like him, and that he's a conniving, tall, mean, nasty son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And how do you do that? You go out there and you take out the valiant fighting champion whose back was hurt with Nakamura, and his knee is this, and he's that, and he's going to go, and you break up the fan favorite thing with CM Punk, and you destroy, and you have him go there. There's going to be no Rollins and Punk match. Sick of people not talking about the Judgment Day,
Yeah.
And you almost make it clear that I'm here to not just take this title, but take this moment and match you want to see away from you. Like that's the fantasy booker in me is like, that's how you kind of like iron everything out, and you let the R-Truth thing kind of suddenly go away because you got to get serious again here.
Yeah.
And I think this is the time to kind of recalibrate things and iron it back into it. But R-Truth has been really entertaining
Yeah, he is.
It's sometimes you have when things are kind of some cylinders are spinning really hard in multiple directions. You have a character who can do like a sub role, like when Rock would be the main guy, but then he'd do something fun with the Hurricane. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's kind of the same idea.
Yeah.
DJ saying the Rock winning the Rumble is huge, mainstream buzz. So that would be the money thing to do. Another thing, the Rock showing up in the Royal Rumble is a distinct possibility as well.
Yeah.
And if the Rock showed up and won the Royal Rumble, there are other ways to get to CM Punk and Seth Rollins.
Definitely.
And have them have their title. And there are other things you can do with the world title. They're great. So there's that's another, there's like 3 or 4 different main routes they're going to go. But now I'm going to say it's less, am I right? The Rumble with this injury feels less predictable than it was a week ago.
Yeah.
And 100%. I'm on board. The women's Rumble, that one we're going to get into as well.
Yeah.
I love this one. Bahati. Body. Saying, can't wait for Dominion. I think you mean Dominic there, but okay. So he says Dominic Mysterio to be booed the Royal Rumble when he's at the event. He gets the worst reactions. Is he confirmed for the Royal Rumble? Is he committed for it? Yeah.
I haven't seen him anything confirmed, but I mean, I could only imagine that he's going to be in the match in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people they don't announce for the Royal Rumble. I know Cody's announced for it. Yeah. Hunter is committed for it. CM Punk, obviously. And, but I mean, him coming out would get a huge reaction.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he would get blowed into the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, so only a handful of names announced. Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Shinsuke Nakamura. Obviously, he has his eyes on disrupting Cody Rhodes' WrestleMania dream there. Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, and Gunther are just some of the male names confirmed there. I'll double check on these other ones here of possible names that have declared for the Royal Rumbles of Rumbling. Also Chad Gable, Otis, and Akira Tozawa. They've committed to the Royal Rumble. They had a fun video they did over the weekend where they did a training session.
Yes,
about how to skin the cat. Did you see that? Like you can do a pull up and get yourself over the rope.
Hilarious.
And Otis decided like, I can't do this. So that was like, yeah, I can see it. For the women's side of things, Bayley is announced, confirmed. She confirmed weeks ago. Nia Jax, Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair, and Maxine Dupree also of Alpha Academy. So a lot of possibilities there in terms of who can your surprise things here. Yeah. So I like I said, a week ago, I was saying it was a lock that Punk would win this thing. Now, it does not feel like the case. It does not feel like the case.
It's up in the air.
This one, Poppy Squeezy. I love the name. Say it with me, Poppy Squeezy.
Poppy Squeezy.
Could you see R-Truth costing Damian Priest the Money in the Bank cash in? Because they've teased the cash in a handful of times here with him. Yeah,
that would be interesting. R-Truth. He's got good intentions towards the Judgment Day, it seems, but as he wants to be good for Damian Priest. But I could see something like that happening. It would be unfortunate for Damian Priest, but the way that things are playing out right now, I could see him having an unsuccessful cash in and having R-Truth cost him that.
But the thing is, Judgment Day, they've been in so many big matches. They got to do the main event at Survivor Series as a faction. Yeah. They have so much TV time on Monday Night Raw. And we did multiple videos on this in the main channel. You guys can check these out on Sportskeeda, where WWE has this problem since last year's WrestleMania, where it's like Raw is the Judgment Day show, and they feud with everyone.
Yeah,
and they get to have the tag titles, right? They get to have the tag belts and Rhea that, but they've also lost a lot of big matches, kind of like on pay-per-views and stuff like that. But on TV, they wreck people for the most part. And now they get to do like the kind of jokey mid-card thing with multiple players involved. I don't know. I think he really needs to win the title in terms of a cash in. And if he's a transitional champion, fine. That's not the worst position. You're still a world champion. You know what I mean? Like that's another thing to remind people about. Everyone thinks you have to be the greatest world champion. No, you got to be a world champion.
Yeah.
So share the link if you guys are here. Share the link for this podcast. We have a podcast version of the show as well, guys. Get it on all your audio devices if you're listening on those. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Go ahead and give us a 5-star review. Shellback saying R-Truth wins the Royal Rumble. Doubt it. Doubt it. R-Truth was quite ridiculous in this interview with Bill Apter. You guys need to go see that. That's up on the main channel. Here we go. Questions about surprises. Can we talk some Royal Rumble surprises?
Yeah.
And we had rumors and all these different things of surprise entrants. What are you thinking? What are you thinking, bud?
Well, I'm gonna just say something real quick, and this is gonna go along with the surprises. They have the women's odds up here for the Royal Rumble match, and sitting there in the top 10.
These are the betting odds. These aren't the people that are confirmed to enter, by the way.
No, these are the betting odds. But in the betting odds, they have listed Mercedes Moné or Sasha Banks. They put her in the betting odds to win the Royal Rumble. No, they're not leaking anything, obviously.
No, it's just this is all based on conversation, general speculation. Yeah.
But I think that would be crazy if she showed up, and because there's all the speculation of her going to AEW as well. So I think it would be a huge return if Sasha Banks made an appearance at the Royal Rumble.
It would be massive. It would be certainly the talk of it. In terms of the two matches, the men's match and the women's match, I feel the women's match has more potential for surprises.
Definitely.
For this reason, because the men's match is going to feature so many top heavy guys they have that have interesting stories. Drew has a story coming into this match, coming out of this match. Punk, obviously, this will be the first big match he has back on television for WWE since his return in November.
Yes.
You have Shinsuke. You have Cody. Obviously, Cody wants to finish the story. Gunther ran the table last year, nearly won the thing, right? And went to the end. He wants to do that again. But for the women, people saying there's more surprises. DJ Dark, you're being hilarious. He goes, hottest free agent, Wendy Richter. Girls just want to have fun. Girls just want to have fun.
Love
it. Alundra Blaze. You're pointing out all the names, DJ. Thank you so much.
Love it.
But for the Royal Rumble surprises, I really feel it's more the women's match. Because you had Charlotte got pulled out of the picture. All right. You're bringing some people in. We're expecting, maybe this is a outlandish prediction, but Naomi, Trinity Fatu, wrapped up with TNA as far as we know.
Yep.
And did the right thing, laid out, put the Knockouts title on the person who's staying with the company, and goes back to WWE and goes back to a different WWE under different management now than the one that she walked out on. And what a bigger way to let people who are free agents in the business know, hey, here's how we're going to treat you. Here's how we're going to feature you. Here's the presentation we're going to have with your entrance. Another one is we've been waiting on Jade Cargill. Bahati saying this. Jade Cargill will be featured in the Royal Rumble, as we haven't seen her wrestle in WWE, but we know she signed. Yeah, obviously they've been making a big deal about signing her months ago. That was in September, October. But she had some personal things outside of wrestling to deal with. That isn't bad. None of those things are bad. Before even screen, very, very sad thing to deal with,
Yeah.
So for me, she makes a big debut, wrecks a lot of people, and they make her look like a big star. I don't think she wins this match. It'd be crazy if she did. But if they had Jade Cargill debut in the Rumble, eliminate a lot of big names, and win, that would be nuts. You want to talk about really stirring the pot with people that have aggressive opinions about women's wrestlers, which is a slightly different crowd than just the bros and dudes that we are.
Yeah.
Woo!
Boy. I'd love to see it.
Now, Mercedes Moné, as far as we know, it feels like it's any day right now with how they want to bring her into AEW. Tony Khan's alluded to it that he would be aggressive in the free agency market, and that's one of the biggest names they can get. She can wrestle there on a lighter schedule. But I mean, we heard that talks broke down between her and WWE, but WWE was able to keep the CM Punk thing under the chest.
Yeah.
And it was something that came together within the last few days, and then they just put it right there at the end of Survivor Series. And it was certainly effective in the way they did, and it got a lot of people talking. If Mercedes Moné does show up at the Royal Rumble, it will be the talk of the Women's Rumble if The Rock doesn't show up.
Yeah.
And as much as people say you can do all these big return surprises, only one of those in a given Rumble is the one that people talk about the most. The other ones are names from the past coming back for a fun cameo appearance and you get to see them do their thing for a little bit, and they get to work with some new talent and do some things. Michelle McCool is kind of stirring the pot, but she's done this a handful of times. We don't expect Michelle McCool to come back and headline WrestleMania. But she's done some fun pop-ups in the Royal Rumble in the past years. Comes in, looks like $1 million, but she's not an active WWE superstar. I could see that, so that's you can have those. But if Mercedes Moné shows up and you don't have The Rock in the men's Rumble, she's the talking point. Sasha Banks back in WWE is the talking point. And WWE wants a talking point with their hardcore fans being a megaphone because, as you know, this is when the lapsed fans come back. This is going to be the first Monday at Raw where they're not up against NFL football in the last, 5-6 months?
Yeah.
So that's a big point. Yeah, that's a big point. So with the women's match, I'll bring this one up. Everyone's putting this one out here. We're going to get a little crazy with AJ Lee.
Yeah, that's. Oh, geez, here we go. Microphone again. That's where I was going to go with my next prediction for the women's was AJ Lee. You saw the CM Punk and the Drew McIntyre standoff where they both kind of got up on the ropes, kind of like AJ Lee does, kicked their feet up, or they kicked their feet up there. So
did you take that as that? I didn't take it as that.
I didn't, but I saw the memes about it, so I was like, okay, I don't know.
She would do that pose all the time in the ring, yeah.
Yeah, so that's that. I could also see them bringing back Mandy Rose, and maybe I know that they had a bad falling out and whatnot, but maybe it's time to bring her back. Her and Liv Morgan have been hanging out. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh yeah, they're friendly. And Liv is another name. I think they could come back and come back from the injury thing and just be ready to go here. Yeah,
definitely. But I want to say one thing about the Michelle McCool thing. Did you see the Judgment Day? They had a video over the weekend where they were kind of hanging out and they were watching old Royal Rumble videos and they saw Michelle McCool enter and they're like, "Oh, she's a badass." All this, and then Dom goes, they say she could be in the Judgment Day, and Dom goes, "Yeah, she could. 2 mommies." And then Rhea was like, 2 mommies? You're talking about the Undertaker's misses here. And I just thought it was funny. I don't know. Just had to bring it up real quick.
Yeah. People saying, AJ Lee would get a huge pop. Well, her husband's back in the company. So maybe, like that would be a possibility. And she's been active in wrestling in the past years. I know she hasn't been in the ring, but she was a producer for Women of Wrestling. Yeah. Wow. And that is not an underrated wrestling product. She was a big part of that.
She was in Heels as well, right?
Yeah, she was in Heels. She was in season 2 of Heels, the show Punk was on too. Nice. Tony Kahneman Karin, Tony K. For the men, it's going to be either Cody Rhodes or CM Punk. For the ladies, it can be either Big Money. It's going to be Big Money Jade Cargill. Are they calling her Big Money Jade Cargill? Or she calling herself Big Money Jade Cargill?
Yeah, that might be a self-proclaimed.
I heard they were going for like the Storm thing. Like X-Men, the X-Men women's Storm thing, and they were teasing that on Twitter, but I don't know if they've gone back to that though. But I mean, she's been getting a lot of seasoning training in the WWE Performance Center. It's worth noting that when she started wrestling for All Elite Wrestling, she had never wrestled in front of crowds before, and that she tried out for WWE some years before. She has that athletic background. I believe her husband is still in Major League Baseball. So, I mean, she's somebody who's lived in the fitness world for a long, long time. She has the body, but her time in All Elite Wrestling, they gave her a lot of matches where she was working with someone who had more experience than her. And this is a different dynamic where I really think they don't want to put her on TV where she doesn't have another level to her game, And she got very good very, very quickly and just has that it factor that you can build upon,
Exactly.
I think it'd be fun. Here we go. I'll get to this one. So Kevin saying, this is a different Kevin, not me. I heard rumors that The Undertaker could be a surprise entrant. So let's get ahead of that. The Undertaker is doing his one Dead Man show. He's been doing these around the world, around the country for the last year and a half. I've not seen this. They started this at SummerSlam 2022 in Nashville. I wanted to see it. I know somebody who saw that. They've been taping all those, but they haven't put them out on Peacock or the network. And I understand these are pretty entertaining, like just shows where he comes out and he tells stories that are funny and are interesting about his career. He basically does like a one-man shoot interview show. He does a one-man show. I think it'd be interesting if you wanted to maybe tease something with The Undertaker, have him appear on the show, but I wouldn't have him get in the ring. I think The Undertaker having some type of cameo in the Royal Rumble backstage in a segment would be cool.
Right.
I think him maybe commenting maybe in or out of character on a storyline would be cool. But I don't know if The Undertaker wants to go. Yeah, I just don't see it. And then I'm a huge mark. I'm a big old mark for The Undertaker. He's one of my favorite wrestlers. So I don't know. Come on, we're not doing The Undertaker again, are we? Or are we? Because he did that Hall of Fame speech. He did the never say never thing.
That's true. I wouldn't be upset. I don't think that, it makes any sense, but they do. The WWE likes to put in some old guys in there and give the crowd, a little people pleaser entrance there.
Nostalgia pops, man.
Yeah.
Nostalgia pops. And another thing is, do you know this too? Like with the Rumbles, like you can't do a Rumble now without the factor of you didn't give me any surprises.
Yeah.
It sucks because the surprises weren't cool. But the thing with surprises is they're supposed to be a surprise. A surprise you don't know you're getting.
Right.
So, but the problem is you built up this expectation every year that you have to have them. So that is the thing where I'm like, you guys just can't come out there with this awesome roster of talent that I already know and a couple of new people that could get some shine and do a really cool match. But no, we got to have these nostalgia pops, and there's been years when they don't do them nearly as much. Maybe they do one or two, but I don't care about The Godfather, so I didn't like it. I was like, well, you didn't even know you were getting The Godfather, and they gave you The Godfather. It's like complaining about a dessert that you get comped at a steakhouse. Right. You're like, well, I don't like strawberry shortcake. It's a bonus. They gave you strawberry shortcake, and you just ordered a steak.
Yep, so. I agree with you. But I would,
but I get it. But they built up an expectation for surprises. They've built it up that this is the match where you do a big surprise return.
Yeah, definitely.
So I want to get to this one here. Other people chiming in here. Matt Cardona.
That'd be good.
Matt's pretty heavy in terms of his scheduling with GCW. Pretty busy,
His wife's with the company,
It's true. Chelsea Green. Green. He says he's one half of the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship when she had the belt. Did you see that?
Yeah, he's hilarious, man.
Did you know he wore the belt up at indie wrestling shows? He wore the WWE Women's Championship.
I did see that. Ridiculous. It's funny though.
Maybe because he was a WWE life. He was a WWE for so long, he can get away with that, But
I was wondering about that, like, if they saw there and like, what the hell, Chelsea? Like, I wonder if they got mad at Chelsea Green for that. But
this is one. Yes,
Chavo.
I would pop for this. Huge. I would pop huge for Chavito. Chavo Guerrero has had a really good career working in Hollywood. He's been a stunt coordinator. He worked on a handful of different shows that Project Wrestling and did some stunt work. Most notably, he did all of the in-ring coordination for the Iron Claw movie. And I saw it, and it was very good. And the wrestling in it looks really, really good. And he got the most out of these people and trained people up to be able to perform wrestling in this very specific, isolated way. I think that'd be really, really awesome if he got to have a fun return and do some cool stuff. I think he's somebody that left WWE with years on his career to be able to do other things. And he's certainly someone who likes saying provocative things online, getting some attention. And I think him coming into the Royal Rumble, having some type of interaction with Dominic would be pretty cool.
I like that.
It's also worth noting Rey Mysterio is supposed to be in town for the Royal Rumble, and that he is expected to be there. Now, the time frame, Rey went under the night for yet another knee injury. Rey has more knee injuries than he does championships in his career. I'm not saying anything bad about Rey, but he's broken the record for that. In his most latest knee injury, he says here was the time frame for it, and that was him being written off television. He's got some unfinished business with Santos Escobar, right?
Yeah,
that's kind of his focus. But I think they could run it back with him and Dom again. Putting Chavo in there would be interesting. Just fantasy booking like crazy here. Just going for it. Royal Rumble surprises, Royal Rumble predictions. Want to hear from more, you guys? Love to hear your take. Brian Dunlap. Heath Slater should come back with 3MB. Song, and Drew and Jinder are in the ring and they do the 2024. No, and then they just grab him by the neck and they throw him off the top.
Yeah,
it'd be cool. People yell at me saying they want nostalgia pops. Give me my nostalgia pops.
I think I
here's one. I think it's possible. DJ Dark again. Rikishi. Rikishi would be wild. His kids are in. His kids are definitely active. He's active again. He's been doing wrestling training for a long time, training new wrestling talent. He has a podcast he just put out. He's in the Hall of Fame. But his sons are in the business. His nephews are in the business. He's in the Samoan Wrestling Dynasty. So it'd be interesting. Be really, really interesting if he came out and if he got to do the dance segment or something like that. That'd be cool. It'd be a fun, easy thing. Doesn't have to do a whole bunch of work.
Exactly.
Here we go.
Like that.
Here we go. This is one.
Ooh.
Read that one. Read that one for the audible audience there.
Ken Shamrock is my dark horse. Not mine. That's Dynasty.
Dynasty. Am I the queen of Dynasty?
I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. But he says
Dynasty 215. While you doing? Ken Shamrock recently put out some official merchandise. With WWE, and that popped up, and that's always kind of an inclination of somebody who signed a Legends deal with WWE to do merch, somebody who is waiting for their ring to show up for the Hall of Fame. Ken Shamrock going to the WWE Hall of Fame makes sense. He's one of the big wrestlers who made the transition to UFC, make him a huge star. I know his time in WWE is short, but he was a part of the WWE during a very, very popular time. And I think him showing up in the Royal Rumble, he did his run in Impact Wrestling where he was doing insane stuff for a guy who only wrestled now and then in his 50s and was still cut and looked crazy. A guy who's had as many injuries as he had in fighting was still going out there and doing the stuff he did in Impact. I was like, you do not need to do this. He was like taking bumps on concrete and stuff. Like, why are you doing that? But he wants to go in the zone. People saying Shamrock versus Lashley in a pit fight at WrestleMania 40. Okay. Nick Batson can't pick a winner. Who do you guys have winning the Royal Rumble? Yeah, we haven't defined who we have winning the Royal Rumble. We've been going through all these different things.
Oh man.
If you ask me right now, I'm going to say they still stick with CM Punk and they give you a little bit of a twist at the end. You know, if they can convince you that someone else can win the match besides Punk, it's good. But the wrench thrown in this is what happens with Rollins. If Rollins doesn't have that world title, do they put that title on the line in the Royal Rumble?
Right.
You can still cash in the Money in the Bank during the Royal Rumble and just go out and get the title. You know, that would be nuts.
That'd be crazy.
Someone wins the title at the Royal Rumble. They're exhausted. Out comes Damian Priest, cashes in, wins the title. That would be done, dude. There we go.
I think that's
the one. That's the one right there. Drew wins the Royal Rumble. Drew wins the Royal Rumble. He gets screwed again by either making a mistake or somebody overshadow him. Like the whole thing is screw Drew, right? And Drew gets screwed. So Drew gets screwed again. That's what I would do. That would we stumbled into that one, didn't we?
That I would love to see that. I mean, oh man, sorry to Drew McIntyre.
We're only supposed to go like 30 minutes. We've already got 50. I don't care.
We're almost an hour. But so if
people are giving us such good stuff.
That's true. I'm loving the comments
such
today.
Good shit.
Loving
such good shit, pal.
But if Drew wins, but then gets cashed in on and he loses the belt, does he still get? I mean, I guess the stipulations are you win the belt if you win Royal Rumble instead of getting to choose. If
they want to go that route, if they take the title off him and they want to go that route into Sunday or Saturday rather.
Right, yeah, because I was gonna ask, and I guess this doesn't make sense.
We're speculating and throwing stuff at the wall. There's so many different moving pieces here. We're having all the fun. You got that 1992 Royal Rumble poster over your shoulder.
That's right.
Yeah, it's an awesome poster. It's a great Royal Rumble.
That was a gift from my mother for Christmas this year.
Your mom knows how to pick them, dude.
She watches the show and she goes, "You could use this," and I'm like, "All right." Yeah. So, Mom, if you're watching, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Harkson. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mrs. Harkson. Is your mom making pizza rolls when I come over? Are we gonna watch wrestling and pizza rolls?
I mean, I could ask her. And
we're going back to the chat. Nasty. My winner really depends on what happens with Rollins tonight. Because you got that knee, you got a bad knee, and you know what? When you got a bad knee, it's nasty. I just wanted to do that voice. If the Rumble is for the belt, it should be truth.
Oh man.
He went for the most serious question. He went for the most serious comment to just have our truth with it.
This our truth.
Damian Priest is afraid of cashing on Roman. Who isn't? Right. If Seth is injured, then the Rumble should totally be for the belt. Yeah, if he's too injured to compete.
Agree.
Brian Tomlin, Lesnar versus Shamrock would be nice too. Yeah, Shamrock ain't going to do a belly-to-belly suplex on Brock Lesnar. Try that stuff. I don't think that's going to fly, dude. All right, there we go. He's going to get Tito. He's going to get Tito Ortiz together. Here we go. What do you think? What do y'all think about Bayley winning the Royal Rumble? I would say with the women's, more surprises, but it really feels like it's Bayley's match.
Yeah,
Bayley's never won one before. Since she came back at SummerSlam 2022 from that long injury, when she was such an MVP for WWE during the pandemic, and she was one of those characters when there were no fans, she was jaw-jacking, was able to get her character so over that you forgot that she was ponytail, fun, bright, sparkly unicorn girl, right? You forgot that. Yeah. You just thought she's just a nasty, no good, classic Memphis Heat heel, right?
Yeah.
She could turn back the clock, get away from damage control, win this thing, get herself on a completely different track, and also bring someone up and have a big match at WrestleMania with a newer name. And I do think damage control should be about building to a big match when they break up, and this is a big way to do that. Them saying to her, hey, we have these titles, we have these other things. You're the leader of this group, and what are you bringing to the table? So like she has to win the Royal Rumble. Maybe there's some things she does to do that are interesting. I think she's more the people saying Bayley should win. Yeah, I think there's a possibility here. Nick Bassing, maybe you're joining the show a little bit late. Nick saying, is there a chance The Rock is in the Royal Rumble? There is, but I mean, like, at this point with The Rock being in the Royal Rumble, don't you think they would want to advertise it?
Yeah, I would think so. But, at the same time, if he comes out, he's going to get a huge pop. I mean, it's The Rock. But I would think that because he already made his comeback, yes, they would advertise him being in the Royal Rumble. But
and yeah, I think they would advertise him being in the Royal Rumble, but the Royal Rumble is a very cool way to bring him back.
Yeah.
It'd be a very, very big way to get people talking.
Maybe that's part of their plan is not to announce him in there, and then when he comes out, they're like, okay, yeah, like
and you just get people talking. But you look at social media, it blew up when he showed up on Raw. No one knew he was going to be there, or at least I think there were some rumblings of it in the day, like that afternoon. But I remember you and I talking that day about it. We heard some, but we're like, all right. I mean, if they're doing that, that means they're doing Rock and Roll, and they immediately went that route. So it'll be interesting to see how could Ric Flair pull up and win. No, Ric Flair won't be there. He's under contract with AEW. At least his energy drink is under contract with AEW. So that's what's doing it. Tony K saying, I have a gut feeling like Dakota Kai is going to kick Bayley like Tegan Knox and disband Damage Control, thus turning faces while Bayley thumbs down the universe. Thumbs down the universe. We always call it the universe. There we go. Pat Kmr, not sure if anyone's answered this question yet. Is there any news on when Cargo will start? We kind of touched on this earlier. There is no news on it, but I would think, the Royal Rumble is a good jumping off point. People saying it's Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman has been on the show for such a long time. He did a promotional tour for WWE in India recently with Sony Television there. Our very own Raju got to interview him. He seemed like he was in good spirits. I didn't get any inclination that he was coming back at the Royal Rumble, but that would be a big spot for him to come back in. Great way to reintroduce some people. I think Liv Morgan is a very, very, I wouldn't say a lock, but it's a very big possibility.
Yeah, I agree.
If you're just joining us late, I really think it's very possible the women have more surprises than the men do. Really love you guys here. These comments, I love this one. Really like the Royal Rumble as you get new wrestlers or special guests or past legendary wrestlers to show up. So it'll be interesting what WWE surprises us with. See what I mentioned? Like you really have to do the surprises, right? Yeah. Like I always feel like it's almost like you have a crutch, right? You just can't have a fun match and tell a cool story and be like, now we're going to WrestleMania. You can do that, but you have to do all these other things and then also have a great match where mistakes can happen and people can get hurt, right?
Yeah.
So
I'm with you.
Here we go. What if Disco Inferno enters the Rumble and finishes his story with Cody Rhodes?
Disco
Inferno. I love how I was like, can you confirm my fantasy booking? That's like what most of my like Q&A shows are. Can you confirm my fantasy booking, please? Can you confirm it?
Not today.
Yes, they're 2018 tweets. No, I don't think it's going to happen. Sorry, buddy. I'm not telling you that here. What if Jamie Noble makes an appearance? Jamie Noble coming out there. Jamie Noble going to bait some people up. Jamie Noble. No. Jamie Noble had his last match. He worked at he did a 6-man tag match after being a producer for WWE for years. I believe he still is. And he worked as a henchman for Seth Rollins, and he would get in the ring and do some matches here and there. But like his last real singles match, I think, was like last year or so at a house show in his hometown. And he came out with the American flag and did all this stuff. And he's like, "That's my last match, man. That's it, dude. I'm done, man. I'm gonna do a gut buster and get the hell out of there. Take my bumps. I'm just gonna go down there and give the guys their times, tell them their finishes. Make sure Vince is happy. They can make the boss happy." That's my bad Jamie Noble impression.
Sorry. I love the impression.
Royal Rumble. Do you feel the build for the Royal Rumble has been good? I know our own Vince Russo. He has said that they've lowered the standard and it's two in the ring and there's too many different variables and too many different things are dialed in. I like it. I'm feeling this year's Royal Rumble more than last year, where it felt like it was just the Cody match, and the match was good. They've had that too, where they get to the match and like maybe the build to get to it isn't that great, and then you get the match and it's great. But it's hard to do build to the build is great, then the match is great. It's always hard to pull that out. The build to the Royal Rumble, I've been enjoying it. A lot of loose factors because there's so many people tied into one match, right?
Yeah, I'm liking it this year. Last year, a little predictable. Not that that's bad, but this year, especially now because of the Rollins injury, it's just up in the air that who's going to win. And it's unfortunate for Seth that happened, but I think that it brings a lot to the table here coming into Saturday now.
Pick one.
Yeah, the winner
on this.
Let's go.
Pick a definitive winner. One for the women, one for the men. Tell me the one you think is going to win and the one you want. How about that? I'll give you the one you want and the one you think.
So to start, we'll go with the men, and I'm going to be nostalgic. I want to see The Rock. I want to see The Rock winning, just for my childhood.
That's the one you want. Now, which one do you think is winning?
I think CM Punk's winning. I think CM Punk is going to win, even if the title is vacated. I think he's coming out champ.
I'm going to agree with you on that. That's the one I think, and that's the one I want.
Both.
I think a story is really cool.
Yes.
And Royal Rumble is about building stories. And if you give me good storyline points coming out of it, and the winner maybe isn't the on this predictable isn't bad. Right. I think when people say predictable, I think they rush to confirm that that's bad. How you get to a point is like that. Other people saying Bailey, hopefully Rock. If you want to see Bailey and Jey Uso would be
nice.
And people just saying just Cody finish the story. Well, we'll have a big idea of how he finishes that story. But like I said, you don't have to win the Royal Rumble to win a big match at WrestleMania. Forget that big match.
True.
They have Elimination Chamber. There's a lot of TV. There's a lot of television that WWE has on both Raw and SmackDown before we get there. And it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. People saying CM Punk.
Yep.
I think there's just some cup shuffling around, and CM Punk is a guy we get with the title, and fans are into it. And I think Philadelphia will be into it too. I think Philadelphia will be really into it. And so I'll feel that. If they get their guy there at WrestleMania, I think crowds would pop for him, and that would be the way to go. Here we go. Pat chiming in saying CM Punk and Bailey. And other people saying it's going to be amazing. CM Punk needs to go home. Well, is he technically already home in WWE? Dynasty. I love that.
Yeah.
Keep going back to that. This is Bailey and Gunther. It's for the title.
Gunther.
Yeah, I think Gunther's going to have another big Royal Rumble. They're going to make him the new Kane. Just have him wreck people, but I'm going to. So that's the way I see it going. The Rock showing up would be wild. Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks would be showing up. Would be wild.
Who's your prediction for the women's?
I think it's Bailey.
Yeah.
But the one I would want is I don't love Jade Cargill. And I'm not saying I think she's the best thing, the bee's knees. But I do think you would do this thing where you would really give her a lot to deliver on.
Yeah.
Afterwards. And you'd build up this expectation that if you come to WWE in this war between us and other companies, and we're TKO now and we're owned by a different company, and we're Triple H's WWE, you sign with us and you're the right person, we will make you a star like no one else can make you a star. And Jade, you come here. You will debut in the Royal Rumble after months of anticipation. You will throw out all of these world champions, multiple people, and we will make it clear as day that when you have a chance to sign with WWE over another company, you sign with WWE. And I think the way to do that is it would be have Jade winning it. I agree. I don't think Jade will win, but I do think that'd be crazy if they did do that. I do. And if she does debut in the Royal Rumble, they make her look like this huge star. She gets a spectacular entrance of some kind, and they get that pomp and circumstance. And maybe that's the big thing for her too. Is just an even bigger introduction to the audience in a very formal, grandiose way. But it'd be wild if Bayley wins. I think diehard fans would love that too. They would be on board with that as well. I don't think they would turn on it. And so certainly interesting. And I think if you're in Philadelphia, you're looking forward to how this is going to go. I bring up how when I talked about how I thought Philly would like CM Punk winning it. It's because the Philadelphia audience, by the way, is one of the most, this from sports.
Oh, yeah.
One of the most aggressively harsh audiences to perform for in the world. And I wonder how many locals are going to influence the outcomes and performances at WrestleMania with things. I want just a feel on Saturday night of their socials. You know what I mean? Just those guys. I don't want to.
Can we get a Philly cam?
Yeah, I want a Philly cam. Are they greasing up the poles if The Rock shows up?
No kidding.
All right. We've been talking about the Royal Rumble for an hour. Did you have fun? Did you enjoy yourself? I did.
Yes.
You can follow me at Kev Kellum, at Kev Kellum 6. Very, very busy. You can hear me on the radio on Q101, Chicago's alternative rock radio station every weekend. Roast Battle Chicago, the big comedy show I work with. You can go get tickets to that, roastbattlechicago.com. Go watch our full shows on YouTube. I have a new roast filmed at Zany's in Chicago. That just dropped. Watch that. And a bunch of new content that you and I have been working on for the Sportskeeda channel. You're on the shorts. I'm on the docu-series. We have a lot of that. So, by the way, a few thousand away from 100,000 subs.
Oh, yeah.
So please do that. I was hoping we would be able to get to it before Royal Rumble. I just don't see us getting there. It'd be great. I don't want a bot account sign up. I want legitimate people to sign up for our thing. We could go buy the bot subscription thing. We're like, no.
We don't want to do that.
We're not doing that.
It's authentic over here.
Authentic, genuine. What about you, buddy? Plug your stuff.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at nharksen24. That is at NHARKSEN24. Yeah, that's where I'm tweeting out all my thoughts this weekend on the Royal Rumble match.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun one. A lot of extra Royal Rumble content dropping on the channel. Part 1 of our craziest and strangest eliminations from the Royal Rumble is up on the Sportskeeda Wrestling channel. Just type Sportskeeda Wrestling. We do have another channel called Wrestle Binge, where you can see Vince Russo, Bill Apter, Teddy Long, other big names, Dutch Mantel over there as well. But the long form, like kind of docu-series content with me and the other guys, that's on Sportskeeda Wrestling. So go subscribe to both. So much stuff to do. We usually do a 30-minute show, but it's Royal Rumble week. We doubled down. How about that? We wanted to get you guys in there. If you just joined us late, make sure you watch the whole show, hit the like button, all that good stuff. And remember, when watching wrestling, do what, young Nicholas?
Enjoy wrestling.